Here are 9 of the creepiest backyard discoveries. These findings will make you take a second look at your backyard. Number 9. A 16th century cemetery. When you think of creepy discoveries, one automatically thinks of a corpse. Finding the remains of a dead person is creepy enough, since it's provoked several superstitious beliefs across the world. There are even movies with that topic as their main conflict. That's because the dead are not to be disturbed. Still, it's very unlikely to come across a corpse in the privacy of your own backyard. If coming across one corpse is bad enough, imagine 13 corpses. When a local man from New Orleans, Louisiana decided to dig in his backyard for a swimming pool, he ended up discovering what appears to be a historic cemetery that dates back to the 1700s. The workers unearthed 13 caskets with human remains. However, it was not the first time bodies have been discovered underground in that particular area. In 1984, 36 corpses were found when an apartment complex was being built. Number 8. A fallout shelter. The human race has faced near annihilation more than once, mostly by our own mistakes. The past century was full of events that could have changed the course of history in the blink of an eye. Because of that, many people around the world have developed different inventions and strategies to cope with the possible apocalypse, and sometimes those inventions end up lost in time. A family from Neenah, Wisconsin, always had the feeling that there was a large metal object hidden in the ground in their backyard. However, they never dared to dig it out. One day, they decided to do some digging and uncovered a large metal hatch. Curiosity struck, and as they opened it to reveal its contents, a series of Cold War era artifacts were found. A ladder led down into a bunker which enclosed items from the past, including clothing, medical supplies, tools, flashlights, batteries. It was a fallout shelter that provided a safe place for any catastrophic nuclear event during the past century. Whoever built that shelter feared that at any moment the fate of humanity could be determined by the push of a button. Still, who knows how many secret layers still lay beneath our very feet. Back then, people really believed the end of the world could happen at any minute. But that's in the past, right? Number 7. The cheetah. Wild animals are to be expected in your house every now and then, and those encounters are mostly limited to the endemic species of the area. In other words, if you're in a certain area, you would only expect animals from that specific habitat to cross your path. However, there have been a few cases of animals who were probably lost and quite far away from home. While Julianne Taylor of Hamerton, Cambridgeshire was getting some housework done, she was interrupted by her 9-year-old son. He claimed hysterically that there was a cheetah in their backyard. The woman, skeptical, dismissed the boy's claims. It wasn't until she looked out of her kitchen window while washing the dishes that she realized her young boy was not fooling around. A 6-foot savanna predator who had escaped from a local sanctuary was looking for shelter in their own backyard. The keepers soon arrived and took care of the giant feline. With the ability to go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 3 seconds, the chances of meeting the cheetah in your backyard and living to tell the tale are quite low. The odds of encountering a savanna predator in the UK is, of course, minimal. However, if your kid gives you a heads up, make sure to listen to him or her, for it may be the last thing you'll ever hear. Number 6. The whale corpse. No one expects to find a corpse in their backyard. Still, when was the last time you stopped to have a good look at a rock? While it may seem foolish, you might be surprised at the treasures one can find by taking a closer look. Gary Johnson, a local man from California, noticed a large rock sticking out of the ground near his backyard back in 1978. Considering the bone-like texture the rock appeared to have, Johnson called in the experts to give it a look. He was told it had no value. The stone remained untouched for another 35 years until February 2014. While Johnson was watching the news, a huge fossil of a 12-million-year-old sperm whale was found not far from where he found the stone. This time, Johnson found a paleontologist at the Natural History Museum to help him evaluate the stone. This time, luck was in his favor. The paleontologists estimated the stone to be the 14 to 16 million years old fossil of a very rare whale. Many people are not as fortunate as Gary Johnson, and the corpses that they uncover are not from an ancient creature. So next time you stumble across a giant rock, take a closer look, and you might be surprised. Hopefully, you get as lucky as Gary Johnson, and if you were to find any bones, they're not from another person. It might be creepy, but stumbling into a corpse on your backyard might not be as bad luck as we thought it is. Number 5. $175,000 of marijuana. People choose weird places to stash their drugs. Most of the times, it's quite easy to predict. However, there are a few very clever fellas who, in order to protect their property, find the most unusual places to use as a safe box. In 2012, a Los Angeles local ordered a few solar panels to be installed in his home. As he was searching his backyard for power outlets, he looked under his hot tub. To his surprise, he found several small packages of what appeared to be a green herb. Confused and afraid, he called the police. The LAPD confirmed that the content of the packages was indeed marijuana, and the total amount that it was worth summed up to $175,000 US. Creeped out and worried about the origin of the marijuana and that its owners might want it back, he left a note on his front door saying, "We found it," and called the police. They confiscated it and are now watching the place. Sorry, for that amount of money, whoever hid the marijuana there should have expected a jacuzzi failure sooner or later. Number 4. A classic Ferrari. When people steal things, the place where they hide whatever they stole must be strategically thought through. However, either the time or the pressure factor may push people to take unusual measures to secure their pickings. Throughout the ages, a very common place to hide precious belongings has been in holes in the ground. However, those places are usually used for small objects such as jewelry and cash. That was not the case for two kids in Los Angeles who, while digging for fun at their backyard, came across DINO 246 GTS Ferrari. Apparently, the car had been stolen and buried in some sort of an insurance scam. Although none of the neighbors noticed the burying at the time, apparently the thieves, whose job was to destroy the car, fell so in love with it that they'd rather bury it for later retrieval. The thieves never came back and the car was lost under the thick layers of dirt. Who knows? You might be sitting on top of some solid evidence for a fraud case right now. Number 3. The actress. On average, 90,000 people are missing at any given time in the United States. Whether it's an accident or by their own will, a large amount of missing people suffers from a mental disorder, and celebrities are no exception. But the fact that it's common does not mean it ceases to be very, very creepy. Back in 1996, Canadian actress Margot Kidder had been going through a hard period of her life. After being reported missing for 3 days, she was found at a family's backyard in Glendale, California. Apparently, Kidder was found frightened and paranoid. Her dirty clothes and missing teeth suggested that she had developed a mental problem. The idea of finding an unstable person panicking in your backyard is chilling. She was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and placed under treatment, where eventually she made a full recovery. Number 2. The mysterious gem. H.P. Lovecraft wrote a story about a stage object that came crashing down from space and into the ground of a small town in ARKHAM, Massachusetts. That story doesn't propose that good things are to happen when an alien object comes rocketing into your home. Fortunately, that is only a story, or at least that's what we thought. While looking for worms to take on an upcoming fishing trip, two sisters from a town in Canada stumbled upon a curious, mysterious object. In the ground, they found something with very peculiar characteristics, transparent and shiny, with a bluish tint. At first, they thought that it was some sort of precious stone, or even part of a meteorite. However, Professor Phil McCausland, who is an expert in earth sciences, disagreed, claiming that the visible layer of the object should have been much darker if it was really part of a meteorite, due to the friction it produces while entering the Earth's atmosphere. Later on, a gem expert, Gary Winkler, was summoned to the small town in Canada and was asked to analyze the object. He concluded firmly that it was definitely not a gem of any known kind, at least here on Earth. He also proposed that the object was not of natural origins and that a person might have deliberately buried it. No matter the origin of the mysterious object, the sisters were going to keep it. Hopefully, they do not have the same fate as Gardner's wife. Number 1. The massive alligator. Florida is no stranger to creatures found in backyards. It's common to find different kinds of animals lurking around the vicinity, which makes the locals be extra aware of their surroundings. For many of them, bumping into an animal is quite normal. However, an alligator taking a dip in the family swimming pool is a whole other story. Ready to celebrate Memorial Day, the family proceeded to the backyard for some swimming pool fun. Fortunately, they took a second look into the pool before jumping in, only to find a massive lizard lurking at the bottom. The 8-foot reptile was swimming in circles as if waiting the right moment to attack. The family called the sheriff's office, and after struggling against the massive beast, they successfully transported the creature to a nearby farm. Alligators can grow up to 14 feet in length and are known for eating humans alive after performing the so-called death roll, a hunting maneuver used by the alligators to either escape from predators or break their prey's bones. It's very unlikely that you will just walk away from that encounter, so considering the odds, make sure to check the bottom of the pool next time you go visit any friends or family at the Orange State.
Giant men have appeared on the internet. The most famous of these was the story about a giant human skeleton uncovered in the desert during gas exploration in Saudi Arabia. Pictures were included linked with the Islamic story of the Prophet Hud and the powerful giant tribe of Ad.